First story. One crisp autumn day, a group of friends, Emma, Mark, Sarah, and Alex, decided to embark on a weekend getaway to the forest. Drawn by the allure of adventure, they stumbled upon the cabin while exploring the area. As they pushed open the creaking door, a sense of unease settled upon them. Inside, the cabin was frozen in time, as if the last inhabitants had fled in haste. The floorboards groaned beneath their feet, and the faint echo of their laughter seemed to bounce off the walls. Amidst the forgotten furniture and scattered remnants of a life long gone, Emma's gaze fell upon a peculiar object, an old Ouija board, its letters and numbers barely visible. "Hey, guys, check this out," Emma called out, her voice a mixture of excitement and curiosity. As she dusted off the Ouija board, the friends gathered around, their eyes fixed on the eerie artifact. "Should we try it?" Mark's voice wavered, uncertainty lurking in his eyes. Alex chuckled nervously, dismissing the notion. "Come on, it's just a silly game. What harm can it do?" Sarah, always one to embrace the unknown, chimed in, "I'm in. Let's see if there's really a spirit here." With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, they placed their hands on the planchette, their fingertips barely touching its surface. As they began to ask questions, the planchette moved, spelling out answers that seemed to defy explanation. At first, they laughed off the responses, attributing them to coincidence. But then the atmosphere in the room shifted, growing heavier with each passing moment. The planchette began to move with a life of its own, spelling out words that sent shivers down their spines. "I here." The message was clear, chilling, and undeniably unsettling. Anxiety spread among the group as they exchanged uneasy glances. "This isn't funny anymore," Emma whispered, her voice a mere thread of its former self. As if in response, the planchette jerked violently, spelling out a single word, "Leave." Fear gnawed at their insides, urging them to heed the warning and flee the cabin. But curiosity and stubbornness kept them rooted to the spot. They continued their questions, desperate for answers, for some semblance of control over the situation. The entity, growing increasingly agitated, spelled out disjointed phrases that made their blood run cold. Time lost its meaning as they continued their interaction with the malevolent spirit. The room grew darker, even though the sun should have been shining outside. Whispers seemed to echo from the corners, shadows danced along the walls, and a chilling wind swept through the cabin. In a moment of desperation, Sarah demanded, "What do you want from us?" The planchette moved, its movements swift and deliberate. "Release me." It was a plea, a cry for freedom from the confines of the Ouija board. Fearful and shaken, the friends realized the gravity of their mistake. They had unwittingly unleashed a malevolent spirit, a force beyond their comprehension. As panic set in, they struggled to close the connection. The planchette fought against their efforts, moving erratically, and the air around them grew thick with an oppressive energy. They finally managed to remove their hands, their hearts racing, their breaths shallow. A deafening silence enveloped the cabin, broken only by the sound of their own rapid breathing. And then, without warning, the room came alive with a cacophony of whispers, moans, and wails that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Shadows converged, forming grotesque shapes that danced around them. The friends clung to each other, their faces pale with terror, as the malevolent spirit manifested before them in a chilling display of power. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its voice, a chorus of anguished souls, echoed through their minds. With every ounce of strength they had left, the friends chanted an incantation they found in a nearby journal, a desperate attempt to banish the spirit back to its realm. The cabin trembled, the air crackling with energy, as the incantation grew louder and more powerful. And then, in a blinding burst of light, the spirit was gone. The cabin fell silent once again, its walls returning to their desolate state. Exhausted and shaken, the friends knew they had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. They left the cabin, vowing to never speak of the incident again. The forest seemed to sigh in relief as they walked away, the secrets of the old cabin buried once more beneath layers of time and solitude. Second story. But before then, just take 5 seconds to subscribe and like this video. Thank you. In the heart of a forgotten village stood an abandoned church, its ancient stones holding secrets of ages past. The air around it was thick with an ominous stillness, as if time itself had halted within its decaying walls. One moonless night, a group of friends, Rachel, Michael, Emily, and David, ventured to the forsaken place, driven by morbid curiosity and the thrill of the unknown. In the faint glow of candlelight, the friends huddled together inside the church. A palpable sense of unease hung in the air as they lit incense and arranged symbols on the cold stone floor. The ritual they were about to perform was said to communicate with the spirits of the departed, to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. As they chanted the ancient incantation, their voices mingling with the whispering wind outside, a chill swept through the air, causing the candles to flicker wildly. A distant howl echoed, its mournful sound causing shivers to run down their spines. At first, they dismissed it as their own jangled nerves, but as the chanting continued, the howls grew louder, closer. The church's atmosphere seemed to change. Shadows twisted and contorted, assuming unnatural shapes that danced across the walls. The flickering candlelight cast eerie silhouettes that seemed to reach out, grasping at the edges of their sanity. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the group into darkness. Panic surged through them, but their fear was replaced by something far worse, an agonizing silence. Their words and breaths ceased to carry sound, as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. Suddenly, a voice pierced the void, whispering their names with an otherworldly rasp. Rachel. Michael. Emily. David. The voice seemed to come from all directions at once, reverberating within their minds. Terrified, they fumbled for flashlights, their trembling hands casting shaky beams of light around the room. The church had transformed. Its walls bled with sinister symbols that writhed and twisted, morphing into grotesque forms before their eyes. The floor seemed to pulse, resonating with an unnatural heartbeat. Desperation mounting, Rachel yelled out, "What do you want from us?" The whispering voice answered, this time louder, more insistent. "Release me." Their hearts pounded as they realized the magnitude of their mistake. The ritual had not simply bridged a connection, it had torn a hole in the fabric of reality, unleashing a malevolent force. As if controlled by an unseen hand, the friends' flashlights turned toward the altar at the front of the church. On the stone surface lay an ancient, ornate dagger, glinting with an ethereal light. It seemed to beckon them, its malevolence palpable. Their minds were a whirlwind of terror and confusion, yet they knew what had to be done. With trembling hands, they picked up the dagger, its icy touch sending shivers through their veins. As they raised the blade, it emitted a chilling wail that resonated with the same mournful howls that had echoed earlier. With a single, synchronized movement, they drove the dagger into the heart of the altar. A deafening roar filled the room, the walls quaking as if in agony. The symbols on the floor writhed and convulsed, unraveling the very fabric of reality. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The church fell silent, the shadows retreating, the walls reverting to their decaying state. The voice, the howls, the unsettling presence, all were gone. Exhausted and shaken, the friends stumbled out of the church, its doors slamming shut behind them. The village, once cloaked in darkness, was bathed in the soft light of dawn, as if it had emerged from a long-forgotten nightmare. Their bond forever scarred by the horrors they had witnessed, the friends went their separate ways, never to speak of that night again. They had tasted the forbidden, danced on the edge of the abyss, and emerged forever changed. As the years passed, the church remained a silent sentinel, its secrets buried deep within its stones. The village's inhabitants avoided it, sensing the lingering malevolence that clung to its walls. And on rare moonless nights, a distant howl would echo through the air, a haunting reminder of the night when a group of friends had dared to communicate with the dead. Only to awaken a force that defied their understanding. If you like this video, do click the like button, and please don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next story.